Sometimes a plush looks exactly like their in-game counterpart. This can either be intentional or a coincidence, but I always find it fascinating when a plush resembles an in-game sprite or model, despite the fact that, well, it's a plush. So today we're going to be discussing plushes that look just like their in-game counterparts. This one's an obvious choice, but the Sonic Adventure plush set. It's extremely accurate to the in-game models from Sonic Adventure, and it's not hard to tell that these plushes were based off of these models. Sure, some plushes look closer than others, but I'd honestly say that these are pretty spot on when it comes to game accuracy. Especially Sonic, Tails, Chao, and Knight's Chao. They look just like they jumped out of the game. Next one's actually kind of funny. You know how weird and pretty off-model Super Mario 64 Mario is? His cross eyes, his no mouth, his weird awkward standing pose? Well, what if I told you that there is a plush that is so off-model and goofy that it actually quite resembles this model? Of course, I'm talking about the infamous Kelly Toy Mario. I mean, just look at them side by side. The cross eyes, no mouth, awkward standing pose, and overall wackiness. Now, I'm pretty sure that this is coincidental, as this plush first released in 2001 when Super Mario 64 was 5 years old. Sure, you can argue the plush was designed in 2000 or maybe 1999, but Super Mario 64's in-game model should not have been used for reference after 1996, as at that point they had a promotional 3D model they could use as reference. Speaking of Super Mario 64, Luigi's leaked model actually has a plush that looks very much like it. This plush is the BDNA Luigi. Now, it's the version without the outline around the eyes, or the smile, and I'd say he looks pretty much like the leaked model, and I'm 100% sure it's a coincidence because I doubt they're basing plushes off of unfinished assets from video games. And speaking of BDNA, you know Mario from Smash 64? Well, he looks pretty close to the BDNA Mario plush, and even closer to the Toy Site Mario plush. I don't think this is intentional, but it could be, as in Smash 64. The characters are plushes, so maybe they based Mario's model off of the BDNA Mario. Either way, they're pretty close. This one may be a bit of a controversial pick, but I'd say Stringy Sonic looks just like the 16-bit sprite from Sonic 1. Let me explain. The string limbs look very much like the low pixel limbs. His spikes match up pretty closely, being, kind of flat. His overall body proportions match the sprite very well, and his face is pretty much on par with the sprites. Now sure, Sonic's sprite does a more angry/determined expression, but if he were to be smiling, he'd probably look exactly like Stringy Sonic. And these next two are technically cheating, but they are game accurate. These Jack-specific 8-bit Mario and Luigi plushes are direct translations of the original sprites into plush form. Sure, this is 100% intentional, as it is advertised as such, but I felt like mentioning them. And in that same vein, there are many 8-bit styled plushes, such as this Goomba, Mushroom, or even Block. I really do like these plushes, even if their accuracy is completely intentional. Hotel Mario is a game that needs no introduction, and there is a Luigi plush that looks just like Luigi from that game. Of course, I'm talking about Kelly Toy Luigi. He even has the saturated palette Hotel Mario Luigi has. And when it comes to Sonic's current model, yes, that one. There's no real Sonic plushes that look like it except for one, that being the SEGA 2012 Sonic plush. This is the only plush where I can see the resemblance to that model, especially in the face. This technically makes it the most accurate Sonic plush until they change that Sonic model, which I hope they do sooner rather than later. It has gone on long enough, we need something better than this. We've talked about Mario, we've talked about Sonic, we've talked about Luigi, but what about Eggman? Truth be told, it's pretty hard to find a game-accurate Eggman plush. Eggman's proportions are pretty weird after all. Most toy companies don't really know how to accurately portray these proportions in plush form, since they want him to be relatively the same size as the other plushes, so they usually have to shrink Eggman down so that he isn't twice the size of these plushes. But due to that, they have to make his head larger so it doesn't look tiny. I mean, just look at this Jax figure. Sure, it may look proportionally accurate, but if we were to scale him to the same size as Sonic, his head would look tiny. Even the GE plushes are guilty of this with their modern Eggman plush. And they actually did make their Eggman plush much larger than the regular GE Sonic. So technically, the most game-accurate Eggman plush is the SEGA World Sydney Robotnik plush, as he looks like Robotnik from Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine. The only places where the plush is kind of inaccurate are the eyes not being red and the mustache being turned into mutton chops. But the body proportions are completely accurate to the one in game. And other than this plush, the only one I could think of as fully accurate is the GE Classic Eggman, on par with his model from Sonic Generations, but even there's a few inaccuracies. I hope we do get a fully accurate Eggman plush someday, but only time will tell. So, those are the game-accurate plushes. Most times unintentionally, but sometimes intentionally. I wish toy companies would make more game-accurate plushes based off of old sprites or low-poly models. Imagine an actual Mario 64 Mario plush where they turn the plush low-poly. But as of now, these are the plushes that I'd say are game-accurate, and hopefully we get more in the future, as I think this is a very unique thing to do that would have a lot of interest within it. So, thanks for watching.